Welcome to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Boris Garvey from Mills Gallery, and we're both wearing Daniel Shimovitz.
That's right, this is American Roundtable Shimovitz edition. We're going to be talking about art, and we're going to also be talking about the latest and greatest in what's happening in this great country. And we are so happy to be partnered with our friends at Tough TV and Tough TV 38 here in Orlando. How are you doing today?
I'm great. First of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor. You're one of my mentors that helped me progress in my career, and after appearing on your radio show, I now have a podcast and a YouTube channel show, so thank you so much for having me on your program.
Well, you know, it's great to have you, and we're going to be diving into a lot of different varied stuff, but we thought we would do it with a little bit of style. That's how we like to do things here at American Roundtable, and so happy to have you joining us. And if you want to find out more about American Roundtable, check out Facebook, facebook.com/USA Roundtable. We'll see you right back here. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. So happy to be here with you, and so happy to have my special guest co-host, Boris Garvey from Mills Gallery here in Orlando, Florida, where we shoot this fine program. Let's dive right into it. Of course, our first thing on the docket, we're going to talk about more about this ensuing story ever since October, Boris, about sexual harassment in Hollywood, and then, of course, kind of going over into the political realm in Washington, D.C. and other places around there. First off, I want to talk about Michael Douglas having to defend himself. Michael Douglas, famous actor, as you know, and he is kind of trying to obviously not get blacklisted. It seems like there's a big blacklist going on in Hollywood relating to something that has been going on in Hollywood since the very beginning, and that is this. Some people term it sexual harassment. Some other people term it, oh, well, you're sleeping in Hollywood to move up. You know, that's been the term for many years. There's a John Lennon song that even mentions that, where he says, hey, we want to be in movies. You just got to sleep around. Personally speaking, you know my opinion is on this. I don't think anyone should ever be made to feel uncomfortable. I think that no one should feel victimized by anything. Now, if you go into it with eyes wide open, and this is the way that things are played in a specific scenario, well, that's something else. But if you are intentionally sexually harassed, whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's in government, whether it's in the private sector, obviously that's wrong. And that goes for men and women. Because believe it or not, men are sexually harassed too. You just don't really hear about it as much. And gay men are sexually harassed by other gay men. And gay women can be sexually harassed by gay women. In fact, there was a story that came out several months ago about George Takei, which I found quite surprising. George Takei, famous actor from Star Trek, famous progressive voice, being accused of sexual harassment some 35 years ago. And so I wanted to talk briefly about Michael Douglas and about James Franco, which are the latest two stars to be caught up into this. And then I wanted to get your take on it, Boris. So the story goes like this. In an interview with Deadline, Michael Douglas revealed he's been accused of inappropriate behavior by a former employee who says that he masturbated in front of her, spoke raunchily to others, and blackballed her from the industry in the mid-'80s. Of course, now Michael Douglas saying, well, I will fess up to colorful language, but he vehemently denies all other allegations. I want to get to this story, but of course we're running up against a break. You want to, of course, stay tuned for more on this and other stories right here on the American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Welcome back to the American Roundtable, Shimovitz edition. I'm Al Spry, of course, my friend Boris Garvey from Mills Gallery here in Orlando. And of course, we're going over some of the latest and greatest, and we're going to talk art as well. So getting back to what we were discussing, we have a story here about Michael Douglas and one about James Franco. Damning accusations against both actors for sexual harassment. Michael Douglas being accused of speaking raunchily to others, blackballing a feminist from the industry, and masturbating in front of her. With James Franco, we have accusations of sexual misconduct. We have against Ali Sheedy, remember her from The Breakfast Club? Well, she's not working in TV or film anymore, and she's blaming James Franco, along with several other women, for sexual misconduct. So I wanted to turn it over to you, Boris, and get your take on this.
Well, first of all, I don't know if these allegations are true. I'm a fan of both of these actors. I'm also a fan of the Me Too movement, because for the first time that I know of, young gay men, older women are able to come forth, and their stories are for the first time being taken very seriously. So I think that's a great thing. As far as these two, I have nothing to say, because I really don't know if these two actors really did these things. But yes, the movement, I'm all for.
I like the movement as well. The only issue I have with the way things are being handled right now is there doesn't seem to be any due process. In other words, I can say, Boris Garvey, you sexually abused me some 30 years ago when we were young children, because of course we're young men. And you can say, no, I didn't, and then it becomes he said, he said. Or I could say, but at the same time, you've now been besmirched. How do you prove you didn't do it? How do you do? I think the more people that come out against one person, the more validity it has. But I don't think we're getting to a point where we're having a true due process idea coming forth, and people are losing jobs, people are losing opportunities based on an accuser. So that's the only thing I wish there was a way where this process, as important as it is, can be handled a little more fairly. Your take on that?
Well, first of all, that's why we have the law. And there are two courts of opinion, the law and popular opinion. I personally believe that when you are innocent and you fight the correct way, which is in a court of law, and you do all the things you're supposed to do, you will be proven innocent. But I also think that these are the growing pains of a new way of looking at things. I mean, for a long time, people didn't think that men got raped. But, under Obama, he was one of the first president, I think, who talked about men being able to get raped. That's something that is still difficult for the American subconscious to accept. And so these are growing pains, Al. I mean, this is a new movement, and it's going to be with us forever. And yes, some people will be fairly accused of things they didn't do, but for the most part, I have faith in the process and the way that the law works.
Well, sure. And of course, I think the legal way is the best way to approach these things. But I'm seeing things not go to legality. In fact, that people are getting blackballed and it never goes to court. And so that's the idea. I'm just wondering how we can make sure that there's due process even outside of the legal realm. And so, but I do believe that it's come a time in America that we take a look at these issues in a very substantive way, and a way that's we try to be fair. Because, I just don't want this to become, and some people have used the term witch hunt. I'm not going to per se use that term, but there are aspects of this where it can be mishandled. Let's say I don't like Boris Garvey. Of course, I love the guy. But I want to get Boris Garvey in trouble, so I have Mary Jane Doe say, Boris Garvey did something to me. Boris Garvey now has to be on the defensive. What happens to Boris Garvey's career as a famous curator? Of course, Boris Garvey would never do such a thing because he's a stand-up guy. But at the same time, I just think things have to be placed in the proper context. I think there has to be multiple accusers because a pattern. Because these type of people never stop with one person. If you're that type of person, that you're a harasser, you're going to be doing this more with different people. We'll have more on this in a moment on American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. So happy to have you here. If you like this show and you want to see it on your cable operator, please contact your cable operator or satellite operator and say, I want my Tough TV. Boris Garvey, it's so great to have you here. I want to kind of touch on what we were talking about earlier, and then we could move into the art realm. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, let's say you were accused, or even I was accused, of something relating to a harassment. How would you handle something like that?
So in my case, because I know I'm 100% innocent of something like that, I would use the law fearlessly. Let's say somebody accuses you. Mm-hmm. How would you handle it?
I would go after them because I mean, I that's not something that I would do. It's not something that's inherently part of who I am. So if I am, I would guess I would do the Michael Douglas, James Franco thing, where saying yes, I do support Me Too, which I do. I would say that, but I do not know what I did to this person because we had a great working relationship. Here's a quote from James Franco saying, "I have no idea what I did to Ali Sheedy." He told the Late Show host, Stephen Colbert, said, "I directed her in a play off Broadway. I had nothing but a great time with her, and I have total respect for her."
Well, so the difference is there is physical sexual harassment, and there's verbal sexual harassment, and there's psychological harassment. So that's where the lines blur, and sometimes men who have power, who are used to talking to people, men and women, in a certain way, say things that they don't realize are extremely insensitive. So that's where it becomes a little difficult. If you touch somebody physically, that's one thing, and you're guilty. Done. You say something, well, that, I guess it's up for a court of law to decide whether that was harassment.
Well, sure, and I mean, obviously, we need a set of guidelines.
Absolutely.
Because what I can't, if I flirt with someone or act in a flirty manner, is that harassment? Can I do this? Can I hug? What if I hug more than 3 seconds?
Please don't.
There are these, there are these ideas that. So it's an amorphous kind of thing. What's one person's sexual harassment is another person's, like you said, vivacious qualities or whatever.
Well, I didn't say that, but what I believe is this is the beginning of a movement, and
I just said it. Yeah.
Eventually there will be a set of standards, I think, that there will be very easy to define. I was touched, you said something sexual, you made me feel uncomfortable in front of others. There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Guilty.
Now let's turn on to something a little bit more lighter and brighter, and that is, of course, Mills Gallery. Tell us about Mills Gallery and how you became an art curator, because I find the world of art fascinating as well as the world of art curation. So that's why one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, and I've wanted to for quite a while. I'm really glad that you're here because you are a rising star in the art world. You are a great guy, you're a friend of mine, and you're putting out some tremendous artists. You're giving them visibility, including Daniel Shimovitz, who we're both wearing today. So let's talk about Mills Gallery, and we'll do this over a couple segments.
So I'm like the poster child of starting your career over at 47, because at 47 I wasn't happy doing what I was doing, and I wanted to do something new. And one of my best friends, the artist Victor Bocas, who's a family friend, I was talking to him about this, and he and I kind of talked about what could I do, and I said I would like to be in the art world. I love the circles that you are in, and that was the start of it. And for 1 year, I lived off my savings, and I interned in 4 galleries actually, and they taught me as much as they knew about the business. And then 2 years ago, I was at the right place at the right time, and I was offered a job running the Mills Gallery, and I took it, and here we are. And I have to say, I want to thank the Orlando art scene for being so positive and so encouraging, and the Patrick Kahns and the Patrick Greens, the Donna Dallases, for guiding me step by step into the success that I have now.
All right, well, we'll have more, of course, with our friend Boris Garvey of Mills Gallery. You can check out more about Mills Gallery. What's the website, Boris?
It's the Art Gallery at millspark.com.
The Art Gallery at millspark.com. This, of course, is American Roundtable on Tough TV 38 and Tough TV. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the American Roundtable on Tough TV 38 and Tough TV. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Boris Garvey from Mills Gallery.
I'd like to talk about Boris Garvey and your various projects, including Mills Gallery. And you are the curator of Mills Gallery?
I am the curator, and I'm proud of it, too.
And what does a curator do?
A curator hangs the show. So I work with an artist. The artists bring their paintings that we're going to obviously sell. So I hang them on the wall, and I try to tell a story about the painting so that when I give tours, I can talk to the to the public about the paintings, the history. Because I'm new to the business, I hire a psychologist, Dr. Carmen McGinnis, and an art professor to talk to me about the painting. So when I give a tour, I use a lot of the information that these two professionals give me, and I think it's something new and interesting.
I think that's great because a lot of times you're getting only maybe part of the explanation, but you're actually putting a lot of effort and work into telling people exactly what the paintings are about.
Thank you. I do.
And I think that's fantastic. You also have a YouTube show which you're starting called Kiss My Art Uncensored and Unfiltered. Tell me about that.
Well, and you are to thank for that, because you gave me my first opportunity to have a radio segment on one of your past radio shows that led to the Timucua Arts Foundation giving me a podcast, and Marla E., who is my co-host, it's called Live Art, previously recorded, and now we're taking the radio segment I started with you and we're filming it, and it's going to be a YouTube show, and I'm very excited about it. The first episode is the designer Daniel Chimovitz, and we're both wearing Chimovitz right now.
Right here, baby.
We're looking good, and you know, Daniel has decided to work with Mills Gallery from now on. He dresses me for every event.
And he dresses you very sharply, by the way. I like this. I mean, this ensemble you got here, man.
He literally told me on the phone, wear the bow tie, wear all black, wear these kinds of shoes, you know, and I love being dressed by a designer.
Well, it takes all the thought out of it, man. I mean, the designer dresses you, and just couture. So, and that's great. And you have one other thing going, which is, of course, you have the YouTube show, you have the Timucua show, and you have the gallery. Where can people find out more about Mills Gallery in Orlando, Florida?
Well, we're located at 1650 North Mills. You can call 407-234-7033 for more information. We're open from 9 to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday. I would love to give you a tour, tell you about the art. Come and visit.
All right, and we're going to end this segment with a little peek at the YouTube show that you are a part of.
I want to thank Kino from Kino Productions for making this.
It was funny because I feel the same way. Like, I like to save every drop of paint.
But tell me about this. I find this particularly exciting because of the pattern. What are you saying here?
Well, this one is a desert sunset with this Inuit blanket that I made a silkscreen, and I had the pleasure of being in London and staying with my Inuit mother, who's actually Tlingit.
Welcome back to American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Remember, you can check out more about American Roundtable at Facebook, facebook.com/USA Roundtable. And of course, you can find out more about my friend Boris's site. What is your YouTube channel so that people can look you up on YouTube?
It's not finished yet.
Okay.
So we will advertise it heavily.
But your Facebook, let's talk about your Facebook page.
Well, the Facebook page is Art Gallery at Mills Park, and my Facebook page, Boris Douglas Garby, which is all about the gallery. So there are two ways to get in touch with me.
Well, I want to talk about this Da Vinci painting, the obliterating art sale records, the most expensive painting ever sold in the history of man. There's a painting of Christ by the Renaissance master Da Vinci, selling for a record, get this, $450 million. That's $500 million, folks. Obliterating previous records. It's Salvator Mundi, Italian for Savior of the World, and it's one of 20 paintings by Leonardo da Vinci known to exist. The only one in private hands, sold by Christie's auction house, which didn't immediately identify the buyer, but you know they're popping the good Dom Perignon at Christie's because they get a nice cut of that bad boy. Yes. What do you think about that? Now, you were involved in trying to sell something not dissimilar to that, right?
Well, I have had a very blessed career. In the very beginning of my career, I was involved in the sale of a Leonardo da Vinci Christ Among the Doctors. It didn't happen, but I got to see the painting. I got to see the owners. And I learned that this is a tough business. You know, I mean, there are not many buyers who have $250 million to buy for a painting. But I mean, this is an extraordinary business that somebody like me with very little knowledge or influence got to participate in a project like that. I'm very proud of it. It didn't come through, but yes, I'm very proud.
Well, you know, that's just the fact that you were involved in something like that. Yeah. Number one, gives you a lot of experience, gives you exposure, and, you know, I think it's important. Art is important. I want to finish the show with this thought. Art is important. Art is part of the fabric of the human condition. It's basically putting a mirror up against society and saying, hey, take a look from a different perspective, whether it's music art, or visual art, any type of art. I'm a big fan of art. That's why I like to support Boris Garvey.
Thank you.
I love to support his artist, Daniel Shimovitz. Of course,
Marla E. Let's
Marla
not
E.
forget about Marla E.
No, I was just going to see you cut me off there. See, I was
Well,
going to talk about
okay,
Marla
good.
E.
Please.
I love Marla E.
Marla.
And we will have Marla E. on a show
Yes.
very soon. And
Good.
plus I want to thank you all for supporting American Roundtable, where we try to bring stuff in that's a little offbeat from time to time. Thank you for enjoying this Chimovitz edition of American Roundtable. We'll see you next week right here on Tough TV. And Tough TV 38, I'm Al Spry.
I'm Boris Garvey.
Remember to keep it real and keep it tough.